Welcome to 10 Minute Takes. This is where we rate films first, then we talk about what we liked about the film and what we disliked about the film. So you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. See it! Okay, so today we are talking about Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin is the live-action adaptation of Winnie the Pooh. It is directed by Mark Forster, who Mark Forster did Finding Neverland. He's good at these kinds of films, and now he has given us Christopher Robin. So, Christopher Robin is essentially the tale of Christopher Robin, the boy that we knew in the cartoon show, who grows up to be a man who forgets about his toys when he was a kid, and that when he is reminded that he had these toys when he was a kid by his daughter, they come back to life and they come and find him.
Well, Pooh gets lost, and he comes and finds him.
That is essentially the plot of the film.
Yeah.
So, do you want to start with things you like, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. So, for me, what I liked about the film was that I actually wasn't sure if this was a film about Christopher Robin, the actual son of the author, or Christopher Robin from the cartoon show.
Okay, so to clarify that, though, there was the one about the author, but that came out last year, and I missed it. I've been waiting to see that movie for like a year because I thought it'd been coming out, but it already came out.
Yeah, but I feel like this is an issue with the film because from comments that I'm reading about people that it's not actually, they're not going in knowing that this is actual, like an adaptation of the actual cartoon show. And some people are thinking that this is actually a film about Christopher Robin, the boy, the son of the author that grew up to be a man. And that it's not really clear until at some point in the film where you actually realize like, oh, this is an actual adaptation of the cartoon show. And it's not until Pooh is in the real world interacting with Christopher Robin and then someone hears Winnie the Pooh. And you're like, oh, they're actually going full-fledged fantasy with this.
Yeah.
As I heard one person put it, Chronicles of Narnia. They went like Chronicles of Narnia with Winnie the Pooh, where they made Winnie the Pooh a real-life, living, breathing creature.
Yeah.
And he's not Christopher Robin's imagination. He is a real thing. People hear him. They interact with him in the real world. And for me, I actually loved that about this film.
I did too.
It's actually the thing that if they had actually went the route that Christopher Robin as an adult was just playing with these toys in his imagination, would have been kind of weird to me. I actually would have been kind of like weirded out that this grown man is
walking around and talking to a bear.
Even though the bear itself isn't real, I think would have been a little strange. But a lot of people are actually turned off by the fact that Winnie the Pooh is a real life creature in this movie. I disagree with that. I actually loved it. It's not just Winnie the Pooh, it's all of them across the board. They're all real.
My favorite of all of them is Tigger, but Eeyore was by far
He's
the best of the entire film. Like, I want a movie of just Eeyore.
Eeyore is fantastic. He's voiced by the older brother from Everybody Loves Raymond. He's really good. I actually couldn't really tell a difference between the old Eeyore and this Eeyore. He nailed it.
He nailed it. I forgot how depressing Eeyore was.
Yeah, Eeyore's is very sad.
I was like,
but
I
it's
know
funny.
he was very
I find
sad.
it funny.
It is funny because he's like, I fell to the ground where I belong. And you're just like, oh, but then you're laughing hysterically because it's so Eeyore.
Yeah. Once Winnie the Pooh comes back, when Christopher Robin is an adult, is when the film for me takes off. That's when I become fully invested. And they go sort of like slapsticky kind of comedy, but they don't forget the heart of Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
And Winnie the Pooh, he never changes from like the beginning to the end of the film. He's just still Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. He's just Pooh Bear.
He asks questions that something as innocent as Winnie the Pooh would want the answers to. Mm-hmm. It's like when Christopher Robin grabs Winnie the Pooh and Pooh is asking him about his briefcase. He goes, "What's that case you have there?" He goes, "That's my briefcase. What's it do?" And he's like, "It carries important things for me." And he's like more important than a red balloon? And like, there's nothing to be more important than a red balloon than Winnie the Pooh.
I know, Winnie the Pooh, the red balloon is everything to him.
And
It's so simple. He's such a simple character. Pooh Bear is as simple as they come. It's every kid's, lovable Pooh Bear,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what he was in this film. And I don't know who voiced him, but there was
It's
something.
the original.
Really?
Yeah, it's the original guy.
He was.
Jim Cummings. He's been doing it for a long time.
Oh man, I just maybe that's why every time I heard his voice, I was like, Pooh. I liked on the when they were in the train and he's looking out the window and Christopher Robin's trying to be like, come on, I need to work. Like you need to keep yourself busy. And so he's like, tree, woman, something I don't know. I was like,
I don't know what that
perfect.
is.
I don't know what that
House.
is.
Grass.
Woman with dog.
He's like, Pooh,
Man.
can you stop that?
He's
Can
like,
you be
whisper.
quiet?
So then he's like, tree. House. Like that's my favorite part of the whole movie is that train sequence. I was like, Pooh Bear, I love you.
That was one of my favorite parts of that film too. Another thing that I liked is that at one point it's I feel like it was kind of convenient within the plot, but Pooh Bear kind of gets lost at some point, and then Christopher Robin comes across the other friends. Yeah, so he comes across Eeyore first. And I feel like it's a moment in the film where they kind of let Pooh Bear gets lost, so Christopher Robin can spend time with the other friends of the group.
Yeah.
To let them have their moments to shine.
Yeah.
So it's not all Pooh 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So when Pooh Bear gets lost, Christopher Robin then finds Eeyore, and Eeyore's like, oh no, I'm going towards the waterfall. Just let me be.
It's where
Let it end. And Christopher Robin's like, no, Eeyore, I'm coming. I'm going to save you. And then he jumps into the river. He goes, oh yeah, I forget. I'm not a little boy anymore. And then it looked like it was like a roaring rapid when it was like close up to Eeyore, but then it pans out and it's just like this little tiny. He's just going
little river.
And like the waterfall's
like a little drop.
Yeah.
Like.
And he picks up Eeyore, and Eeyore's like, oh no, the Hufflepuff's gonna eat me now.
Like, are you the Huffalump?
He's like, I'm not a Hufflepuff, it's me, Christopher Robin. Goes,
he has to prove to the character. That was a really good part. He had to prove to the characters that he wasn't a Huffalump.
And then he meets up with the other ones. And the thing that kind of weirded me out about the film, but I guess it's been a staple of Winnie the Pooh, was that Rabbit and Owl are real animals and everyone else is a stuffed animal. It's a little strange that they weren't all stuffed animals, but I
don't know for sure.
Going back and looking at the old cartoons, Rabbit and Owl were real animals and everyone else was stuffed animals. But it's essentially, the film is about Christopher Robin rediscovering his childhood by rediscovering his old friends that he had when he was a kid. And the overarching plot is that Christopher Robin works at a business, and Christopher Robin has one weekend to come up with a plan to save the business enough money so it stays in business, because Christopher Robin doesn't, that's going to go out of business. And I guess at this point, that part of the story goes into the things that I don't like. Is there any other moments about this film that you do like, specifically things that stood out to you?
I think things that stood out to me was the charm of the film. Mm-hmm. The characters were the same. Christopher Robin was just an older version of himself. And I think the moment when you were talking about when they're in the woods and Pooh Bear gets lost, that's where he finds his childhood again. And I started actually tearing up because I was like, how simple is that to step out of life every once in a while and just remember those childhood memories of just the imagination that you having fun with the imagination that you had as a kid. And when he goes into that and he has his imagination where he pretends to fight off the Huffalump, and it's just powerful and meaningful. It was meaningful to me. It was very sweet because that was everything that I loved about Winnie the Pooh. And it's my favorite cartoon character growing up when I was a kid. When I was little, I watched them all, watched all the movies. Like, Winnie the Pooh's my favorite.
So for me, the things that I didn't like with the story regarding Christopher Robin, it's incredibly cliche. You've seen this a dozen times before, and I honestly can't remember what movies I've seen it in because it's so forgettable. It is a forgettable plot. The thing that elevates Christopher Robin for me is the fact that it's a live-action Winnie the Pooh movie. The story revolving around Christopher Robin, him having to save his business, and that he comes, like, I guess, to the answer of saving his business through his rediscovery of his childhood.
I guess. I mean, I didn't really think about that when I left the theater. I just thought about the characters.
Yeah. No, and I don't think it's a big enough of a deal for me to really knock the film down.
Right.
Maybe they could have thought of more of an original plot, but the film's biggest weakness, I might say it's also its greatest strength. So the fact that the film is so simple,
yeah,
is what I actually liked about it. But it's also kind of what I disliked about it. I think if you actually tried to make an overly complicated Christopher Robin or a live-action Winnie the Pooh film, I think it actually might turn me off from just the enjoyment of just the whimsical approach they took to this film. So that whole plot there between Christopher Robin and like his wife being mad at him that he needs to spend a weekend to try and save the company he works at so he can have a job was also a little strange.
I think he was just overworked. I mean, he always worked. He was never home, and promises are always being broken. You get tired of it.
But that's some of the criticisms that people have had with the film that I kind of agree with, but it's not those criticisms.
I would agree with that. Like, I don't understand why she's that mad. So mad where she's like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. She takes off. It's like, okay. It's a little harsh. But overall, the film was good.
It's very good. I liked it a lot. The criticisms that I have are just the cliche plot that they have with revolving around Christopher Robin and his job. And that plot it's like the first 10 minutes of the movie and the final 10 minutes of the movie. Where it's like all of a sudden it's like, I got to get back to work because I need to go save my company. Like it just happens like that at the end of the film.
Yeah.
And then he goes back. But even with those things said, it's still a see it for me. I still really, really like this film.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm killing the film for you.
No, I think what you're saying is fine. I don't disagree with you. I think it's very simple. Nothing is new. It didn't bring anything new to the Winnie the Pooh franchise. I think Winnie the Pooh right now needs something new to re-establish the franchise, because I don't think is as popular as it used to be. So a film like this doesn't bring anything new. It doesn't bring any new like, I don't think kids are gonna like now want to go home and watch Winnie the Pooh. I don't think that's gonna be what this film is gonna take away. I think this is a film for the older adults who grew up on it and you like remember that childhood. But I also would like to see a movie about Winnie the Pooh that's new, so that the next generation can enjoy Winnie the Pooh for what it is. Like, not saying change anything, just find a way to reestablish that brand. I think that because Winnie the Pooh right now is he's just not as popular anymore.
No, that's some of the other comments that I've read about the film, is that this might be a film that plays to the older crowd a little more than it does the children's crowd. Yeah,
I can't see like kids going and really enjoying this film. Like, I think kids would like it, but I don't think kids would come away from it and be like, I want to watch Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh's my favorite. I think they really need to find a Winnie the Pooh movie that's going to bring back the love that we had as kids, because how Winnie the Pooh's characters and how Winnie the Pooh TV show, movies back then was really driven for us, or it was really geared towards us. But this one wasn't really geared for kids. It felt like it was geared for us.
Yeah, I think that was kind of
the childhood.
The point of Christopher Robin being older as well. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was a movie for like the old fans that grew up like we did, who were born in the 80s, early 90s, that grew up on Winnie the Pooh.
I do think that Disney needs to come up with a new movie to refranchise Winnie the Pooh, because I just don't think it's as popular anymore. I agree with that.
The other thing was, now I didn't dislike this, but it does take a little while for the film to get to Pooh waking up. It's kind of slow in the beginning, and even when Pooh does wake up, it's still kind of slow. It takes a little while for them to start the sort of adventure, I guess.
Yeah, I could have actually used more of them. That would be one of my takeaways, is that I didn't really care for the first 20 minutes of the movie. Not until Winnie the Pooh entered London.
Yeah, that's another thing that I read, is that people are feeling that the first act of the film, which would constitute like the first 20 minutes, is kind of boring and so slow paced that if kids going into this might actually be bored, because it does take a while for it to get going. But for me, I didn't find it boring. It just took a little while for it to get going. I realized what they were doing. They were setting up the character of Christopher Robin as an adult. He was overworked. He had people that relied on him.
Yeah, but I didn't watch Winnie the Pooh for Christopher Robin. I watched Winnie the Pooh for the characters.
Yeah.
For the stuffed animals.
Which is why I think the title and the advertising for this film might be a little confusing for some people, not realizing, are we getting a Winnie the Pooh live action film, or are we getting a film about Christopher Robin, who was the son of the author as an adult, rediscovering his stuffed animals, his friendship with the stuffed animals. And it's a full-fledged fantasy adult Christopher Robin from the cartoon show adventure that he has with his friends.
Okay.
And I actually love that aspect about it. Okay, so that's it for this show. We really liked Christopher Robin. We highly recommend it, especially if you have a nostalgic bone for Winnie the Pooh, which we both do. Mm-hmm. So you can see.
That one's mine.
It is hers. I got the alien Funko Pop.
I want all of them, but I can't find Tigger.
So I love this. It was charming. It was funny. It's silly. It's everything that I felt like a live action Winnie the Pooh movie needed to be. I feel like if they make a sequel, they can take it into a more serious or a more original direction, something that doesn't use a overused cliche plotline that we've seen before. And it seems like it's doing really well. Maybe it's doing well enough for them to want to do a sequel.
Yay!
So that's
maybe they'll do something with the daughter.
Maybe. I mean, that'd be cool if she went on an adventure with them.
That would be cool.
She is the same age that Christopher was when he was a kid. So that's it for this one. We are seeing The Spy Who Dumped Me tonight. Expect that show.
We're not.
No?
We're seeing Teen Titan.
Oh, Teen Titans. We're seeing Teen Titans go. Teen Titans go to the movies. That's what we're seeing. So look for that show in the next day or two. Thank you for watching.
We can see The Spy Who Dumped Me tomorrow.
Okay. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. So today we are talking about, in this show, we are talking about Christopher Robin.
Okay, I'm
Christopher
done.
Robin is the live action